happened?
I have no idea. Somebody's gun went off.
A deputy realizes her holstered gun fired a shot.
That's an empty shot. That just came out of my gun.
It's the same kind of firearm that hundreds of Washington police officers carry.
It's a ticking time bomb.
Now, guns that may be too dangerous for police could end up in the hands of civilians.
It's shameful.
Our investigation, Shooting from the Hip, now streaming on King 5 Plus. Hello, and welcome to this King 5 Investigators special report, Shooting from the Hip. I'm Chris Ingalls. We all know it. Police officers face many dangers on the streets. They shouldn't have to fear their own handgun. But there's growing evidence the gun that hundreds of Washington officers carry could fire without the trigger being pulled. In February, I obtained this video from Spokane that first raised concerns here in Washington. That case adds to a growing number of incidents across the country.
We got medics and officers in around.
It's a frightening call for police to respond to.
Hang in there, Currington.
A fellow officer down, blood flowing from a gunshot wound to his leg. There's confusion.
You sure there was no shooter?
Over who fired the shot.
Sir? There was a shooter?
Yeah. There wasn't? It just went off? Okay.
It just went off, okay.
Police officer Kevin Currington wasn't in a gun battle. He was simply locking the gate for the evening at Northside Park in LaGrange, Texas last June. Evidence soon pointed to his own duty weapon.
Sig, 9mm.
Somehow firing in the holster.
You did shoot yourself? It just went off, right?
It was in the holster.
So there is no suspect.
Officer Currington survived the shooting and became possibly the latest victim of the Sig Sauer P320 handgun. A version of the Sig P320 is the handgun of the United States military, and hundreds of thousands more are used by civilians and police. Shooters, watch your threat. But today, you won't find a single one on the firing line here.
3 left side, 3 right side.
At the facility that trains all police officers in Washington state. That's because the executive director of the Washington Criminal Justice Training Commission temporarily banned the P320 in October, even though several police departments want their recruits to use them.
We need to bring some people together and have a conversation about what's next. We cannot afford to have a recruit get hurt. And everybody says, as long as you keep your finger off the trigger, you're safe. And then that doesn't come true. That is scary.
Her team, a mix of firearms and law enforcement experts, has been investigating incidents involving the P320.
Just recently added some stuff from a local agency that had some issues and went away from the Sig Sauer.
Through records requests, King 5 obtained some of the evidence they're evaluating, starting with this October incident at the Training Commission's firing range in Spokane. Zooming the video, we see a Yakima police recruit drawing his P320. There's a cloud of dust to his right as a bullet strikes the ground, narrowly missing the trainee next to him. This report said the recruit's trigger finger was not on the trigger or in the trigger guard. That statement from a firearms instructor is evidence the P320 fired on its own.
There was an instructor right there, and he was actually watching the recruit, and the recruit did not have his finger on the trigger.
That October incident launched the Training Commission's investigation, which turned up a handful of other cases in Washington, none with injuries.
What the hell?
And many more nationwide.
My gun just went off.
Did you enjoy law enforcement?
100%. That was my goal as a young child.
This former sheriff's deputy was one of the victims.
In my patrol car, getting caught up on reports, whatever, go to get out of my car, getting ready to take my gun off in its holster. As I'm removing my admin holster, it shot me straight in the femur.
That's a law firm's animation of the 2018 incident that ended the 7-year career of Loudoun County, Virginia deputy Marcy Vadnais.
I lost my career, my marriage, like still to date, like it still affects me mentally, physically. I should not have to worry about if I manipulate a weapon inside a holster fully seated in a holster that is going to shoot me in my thigh.
What do you think that we're still talking about this all these years later?
There's a serious problem with this gun. It should not be on store shelves to this date. Somebody is going to lose their life.
Sig Sauer did not respond to our messages for a comment, but it has fiercely defended the P320.
So we have representatives here from Sig Sauer. We reached out.
In this November meeting with the Training Commission work group,
Holsters with wide apertures, that's a very big concern.
Sig Sauer employees offered alternative explanations for why P320s fired in some of those videos. And it says lab tests by Sig and the Army have never resulted in an unintended discharge.
It simply cannot happen. Okay, that sequence of components in there and the way that they are engineered does not allow this gun to just fire on its own.
That's their truth and that's their facts, and I'm not here to argue with that. I just want to see all the facts.
How many cases like this are you aware of?
Well over 200 at this point.
Connecticut attorney Jeff Bagnell has filed 24 lawsuits against Sig, including one that ended in a confidential settlement for Marcy Vadnais.
I've been calling for this gun to be recalled for at least 8 years now.
But federal law protects gun manufacturers from mandatory recalls, even though Bagnell and others argue the gun's striker firing mechanism is a design flaw.
In the newer lawsuits, we're seeing the municipalities being named as a defendant because they had knowledge of the problem, and yet they still put it into the hands of their police officers.
Meaning, a decision to permanently ban the P320 at the Academy would reverberate through law enforcement across the state.
Because it is so unpredictable. It's literally like setting a ticking time bomb wherever it's sitting, waiting for it to go off.
Civilians also own this gun, and when it comes to regular people, we did find one federal lawsuit filed by a Pierce County man in 2020. He said his gun fired in its holster, wounding his leg. His lawyer said he could not comment because of a confidential court settlement with Sig Sauer. Now, remember, the ban on this gun was temporary while experts at the Criminal Justice Training Center studied the issue. But weeks after we reported our first story, the commission made a final decision and permanently banned the P320. On the range at the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Center.
3 left side, 3 right side.
Recruits hired by police departments from all over the state learn how to use firearms. Preferably the same firearm they'll carry while on duty after they're sworn in as police officers. But now, police agencies that issue this gun, the Sig Sauer P320, will have to accept a substitute for training purposes. Executive Director Monica Alexander permanently banned the use of the P320 on Training Commission premises.
So we will no longer have that firearm on our campus. It could hurt someone, it could kill someone, and we are very concerned about keeping our officers and our instructors safe.
What the hell?
The P320 has been blamed in dozens of cases nationwide in which police officers were struck or nearly hit by rounds that were fired even when the gun was holstered. Virginia Deputy Marcy Vadnais' career ended when her holstered P320 fired into her leg.
100%, this needs to be banned. This gun needs to be recalled across the country, not even just Washington State. This gun needs to be taken off the market altogether.
As the King 5 investigators reported earlier this month, this is the video that stoked the training center's concern about the gun. At its Spokane facility, a recruit's P320 fired, narrowly missing the recruit and instructor standing next to him. The recruit's trigger finger was not on the trigger or in the trigger guard, according to the seasoned instructor. The Training Commission temporarily barred the P320 after that incident in October, while a task force studied the issue. Now the ban is permanent.
My position has to be safety, because we know so much now, and if I make a different decision, then I don't feel like I'm being responsible.
The ban only applies to Training Commission premises, but already some departments that issue P320s are making a change. The Kitsap County Sheriff's Office has more than 200 in service.
We've already begun our transition away from the Sig Sauer P320. The reason is because of the safety issues. Our agency had looked at them, looked at the discussion around the safety issues involving them, and decided that We want to have our deputies to have the safest, most effective equipment they possibly can in the field.
The Kitsap County Sheriff's Department said switching to a new brand of firearm is expensive. Taxpayers have to foot the bill for guns, new holsters, and other equipment, and retraining for all officers. Some Washington police agencies are sticking to their guns, literally. In February, the King 5 investigators broke the story that the State Police Academy banned a handgun widely used by law enforcement agencies. It's caused turmoil in some departments that are pushing back on the ban.
They're inside here. Thanks.
What's going on tonight?
A man in crisis at a grocery store in Kitsap County.
We've got the ladder right here. It'd be right easy to climb down. Yeah.
Sheriff's deputies responding to this call in April of last year couldn't convince him to come down from a cabinet.
We're not.
It's at this moment, when deputies pounce on the fallen man, that this turns into something more than a routine call.
Oh my God, what was that?
3 body cameras rolled as the sound of a gunshot rang out.
What just happened?
I have no idea. Somebody's gun went off.
Does he have a gun on him? We're all holstered.
Well, I'm saying I don't know if it went off in a holster.
None of the deputies had touched their weapons. Later, one of them realizes it was her gun that fired.
Okay, that's an empty shell.
That came out of your gun.
That just came out of my gun.
Your gun was in your holster.
My gun was in my holster. I felt it hot on my thing.
Do me a favor.
Yep.
Take a deep breath.
Yep. Okay. I'm good.
No one was injured, but this incident launched an investigation of the deputy's sidearm, the Sig Sauer P320 handgun, widely used by police and the U.S. military. Last month, the State Criminal Justice Training Center permanently banned the P320 at the academies that train all Washington law officers. As we reported, leadership determined this video shows a Yakima recruit's P320 firing and almost striking an instructor. Both men said the recruit's finger was not on the trigger.
What the hell?
The Training Commission's case adds to a growing number of claims nationwide that the P320 fires on its own, even when secure in a holster. But some police agencies that issue the P320 oppose the ban.
I'm Chief Wendell Shirley of the Bellevue Police Department.
At this meeting earlier this month of the Criminal Justice Training Commission, Bellevue Police Chief Wendell Shirley said the decision would be a financial and operational hardship. He wants officers to train at the academy with a gun they'll use on the job.
And would ask the commission to consider placing a temporary pause on this directive to allow for a more thorough discussion about the budget and the impact.
Bellevue Police declined repeated interview requests from King 5, but in emails obtained through public records, the department's firearms expert called the ban outrageous and said academy leaders haven't listened to a word we've said. A lieutenant wrote, "We have made the decision and stand by our choice of the SIG P320, and SIG has proved it cannot fire without a trigger pull." Police in Kirkland also opposed the ban, writing, "We are shocked by the Training Commission's action. We don't believe the data supports this decision."
I felt something like hot on my leg when that sound went off.
Indeed, there are cases where the gun appears blameless.
Okay.
Self-check.
That wasn't.
During the Kitsap Sheriff's probe, investigators noticed this on the body cam video. The deputy's handcuffs loose in her duty belt, likely from the struggle. This photo shows how a handcuff strand could have entered the holster, which they say was responsible for pulling the trigger.
We're having to rearm our whole sheriff's department. Because there's a malfunctioning firearm out there.
Nevertheless, 4 days after our original story aired, Kitsap County commissioners approved up to $400,000. That will pay for more than 200 new model firearms and training for all officers.
We want our deputies to have a safe, dependable weapon. And then, they've been watching these play out too. And then, on King 5 News.
Even though the P320 was not blamed here, Kitsap County says deputies shouldn't have one more thing to worry about in a job that's already full of danger.
I mean, obviously, there's plenty of case study here that says it's a defective firearm. Frankly, we need to get it off our deputies' hips.
Sig Sauer has never responded to our questions about its handgun, but soon after our stories aired, it issued a blistering statement on its website. It blames the controversy on anti-gun groups, members of the mainstream media, trial attorneys, and other uninformed people. It calls these claims manufactured lies and says that all of these cases are negligent discharges, meaning someone or something pulled the trigger. It might be considered a surprising response because a lot of the victims in these cases are police officers who know a thing or two about firearms and are generally not anti-gun. Local police agencies are getting rid of their controversial firearms. But the King 5 investigators have learned that hundreds of those discarded weapons could end up in the hands of citizens. Now, we reveal how guns that the training academy says are too dangerous for police recruits could go back on the market.
Hey guys, it's Rick with Achilles Heel Tactical.
One of the newest videos making the rounds on the internet comes from this Knoxville, Tennessee firearms trainer, an instructor teaching a live fire course.
Like my demonstration, I want you guys. All right.
320?
Yep.
Is interrupted when a handgun fires during a ceasefire.
Get this gun off my range. Don't bring it back on the range.
The instructor is convinced the Sig Sauer model P320 fired without the student pulling the trigger and bans the gun from his range.
These guns will not be tolerated in these classes at my training center or at our training events any longer.
As the evidence against the P320 grows, more Washington law agencies are shedding the firearm that's commonly used by police and the military.
Next is the replacement of police-issued firearms.
At this Burlington City Council meeting in Skagit County, a police commander requested replacing the P320s that their officers carry.
They decided we should go with the Smith & Wesson MP2. So I'm here to request approval to purchase the 33 firearms we need.
Records requested by the King 5 investigators show the low bid for those 33 new guns is $28,000 from a company called Proforce. But there's a catch. Burlington will get credit for trades, which makes the price $13,000 less than other bids. The city will send its P320s to the firearms dealer for resale and, according to the mayor, wash the city's hands of any liability.
By working with a federal registered firearm dealer, they take the risk of buying them. As far as potential lawsuits coming back, if somebody should buy one of these and have a misfire, if we sell them out to individuals, we assume that risk. If we sell them to these firearms organization, they assume the risk then when they resell them.
But is it right for a public safety agency to put questionable firearms back in the public's hands, even indirectly?
What do you think of that?
It's shameful that those weapons are going to be in the homes of civilians, knowing that the gun could go off at any time.
Craig Jacklin is a retired Pennsylvania transit cop who worked the commuter tunnels in Philadelphia.
That's crazy, man. There's a bullet right there.
He was on patrol with his partner in 2018 in this golf cart when they came to a stop.
Both hands on the steering wheel, I could go to exit the vehicle and a weapon went off. Boom, just like that.
It's holstered. It's holstered. I'm sitting right there. It just boom. No, I didn't get hit.
You're not hit?
No.
A woman had just entered the hair shop that we were parked in. The round missed her by a millisecond. It missed her foot by a millisecond. She walked by and boom, you can see the impact on the ground.
Yeah, I need you to 107 me, sir.
Officer Jacklin said his P320 fired on its own. The transit authority cleared him of any wrongdoing and quickly dumped their Sig Sauers for a different brand of handgun.
My gun just went off.
What the hell?
There was no shooter? Sir?
In the 6 years since Jacklin's case, dozens of other victims across the country, many of them police officers, have claimed their P320s fired, often while holstered.
And downrange.
Downrange. As we reported exclusively in February, the Washington Academy that trains all police officers banned P320s at its facilities. Jacklin says the gun should be pulled off the market, not put back up for sale by police agencies trying to save a buck.
And every police department that has that weapon, you know, they know the risk.
Furthermore, King 5 has obtained records from 2018 showing a Burlington sergeant reported his P320 fired completely on its own, blowing apart his holster and ripping through his pants pocket.
Oh my God, what was that?
Last year, body cameras were rolling as a Kitsap County Sheriff's deputy's holstered P320 fired during a struggle in a grocery store.
That's an empty shell.
That came out of your gun?
That just came out of my gun.
In each case, Sig Sauer investigated and claimed objects like handcuffs entered the holster and pulled the trigger.
What do you make of that explanation?
I think it's misdirection.
Jeff Bagnell is a Connecticut lawyer who has sued Sig Sauer nearly 24 times.
They say this all the time, Chris. Every time this happens, they say something got in the holster.
Sig Sauer has never responded to our numerous requests for comment, but in press releases has said the P320 cannot, under any circumstances, discharge without a trigger pull. It blames negligence or faulty equipment in each case.
Growing concerns about the safety of the P320, which has been involved in multiple lawsuits.
Like Burlington, Kitsap County commissioners this year also decided to buy new handguns and trade in the department's 229 P320s to reduce the cost by $108,000. County commissioners seem well aware of the risk of selling guns that the state says are too dangerous for police officers.
I'm all for it, but not putting weapons out there on the street that are defective, potentially defective.
So that's $100,000.
It's $100,000, right? But my conscience is killing me here. What's $100,000 compared to somebody's life?
The Kitsap County Commission emphasizes that it was the sheriff's decision to trade in the guns for credit. A sheriff spokesperson said that is the logical and fiscally responsible thing to do, and he said it would be a waste of tax dollars to destroy those guns. I'm Chris Ingalls. For all of the King 5 investigators, thanks for watching.